Shalom, thank you for joining us this afternoon this morning for our Bar Above Rubies Bible study. This morning we're going to be talking on personality disorders. I am Akwath Melka.
I am Akwath Amina.
And we give all praises to the Most High for this lesson. We're going to get started with our credo, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4.
Shema Yasharallah Ahaya, Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad, Hero Israel, the Lord our power is one power. Shema Yasharallah Ahaya, Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad, Hero Israel, the Lord our power is one power. Shema Yasharallah Ahaya, Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad, Hero Israel, the Lord our power is one power.
We have our few announcements. Join us for our Thursday night Bible studies at 8 p.m. Our Friday night lessons of life lessons at 8 p.m. And then we have our women's Bible study at 11 a.m. And then join us for our main Shabbat lessons at 1 p.m. And all times are Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you for that.
So we're going to get started with our lesson. First, we're going to see how mental illness is taught through TV shows. When, as little girls, the TV shows that we would watch, such as Winnie the Pooh or the movie Alice in Wonderland, and movies like that, how they teach mental illness. So Alice in Wonderland is only one of many popular movies and TV shows that presents animated characters exhibiting psychological disorders. Two other notable examples are the movie Inside Out and Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh, like Alice in Wonderland, depicts mental disorders through the main characters. For example, Piglet, the little pink pig thing, is generalized anxiety disorder. And if you've ever seen the TV show, you would see how Piglet always had some type of anxiety going on. The owl had dyslexia, Tigger had ADHD, and Eeyore he showed symptoms of depressive disorder. And Winnie the Pooh with impulsivity with obsessive fixation. Inside Out.
Can you explain that a little bit?
He was the way he was obsessed with the honey.
So let me tell you this. So when you have people dressing their children and them different little cartoon things for Halloween, they're dressing up their child as that spirit and don't even know it.
Yes. And as little kids, when we or other people would watch these TV shows, we're taking this in our subconscious mind and we don't even know it. We just think, oh, that's just how the character, we just think Eeyore's just depressive. He's a sad character. When in reality, it's teaching you that these characters, it's okay for them to be this way.
So you're taking in those spirits.
Exactly, as you watch it.
I remember when I was in college and I was taking college English, and my English teacher showed a clip of, what's the name of that down the rabbit hole?
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland. And it's a part where she's standing there and she's talking to this dragon. And this dragon is so demonic. And at this point, I was in the truth. I was going through deliverance and all that. I started to go through this huge deliverance. I started coughing and gagging. I almost threw up. I had to leave the room. And I'm thinking, whoa, that was the Holy Spirit blocking me from those spirits that was coming from that clip. But the people that's in there didn't know it.
So they
received that spirit. Yeah.
And then there's another movie that a lot of people have watched as kids called Inside Out. And that movie focuses on one's internal dialogue.
Is that a cartoon?
It's a movie that's like animated.
Oh, okay.
So like a lot of kids, it's super popular with little kids. It focuses on one's internal dialogue, voices in a little girl's head by emotions. So you have joy, fear, disgust, sadness, and anger. And all of these are little people in the movie, but their voices that's in her head who turned into people that you can see. The symptoms of depression are present when the emotions joy and sadness are out of headquarters. So this is definitely some form of, would you say schizophrenia?
Schizophrenia?
Yeah, definitely schizophrenia.
But you know what psychiatrists and psychologists are doing now is that they are integrating. So they're teaching people how to listen to those voices and to work together. But you're really working with demons.
Exactly.
There's no such thing. Go ahead.
And the little girl, her mind is driven by other emotions. So Inside Out adapts an alternative approach of attempting to understand understand depression with these different emotions. It says that by understanding what emotions are present in the main character, instead of looking at depression through what we can observe from the outside, so it's trying to show you the mental illness that's inside of her, showing it on the outside, hence the title Inside Out. So when looking specifically at adaptation of the guy who created Alice in Wonderland, the majority of the characters present symptoms of various psychological disorders in some form or another, but without showing it explicitly, mentioning mental health. So, for example, the white rabbit's obsession with promptness and consequently his fear and paranoia associated with time. It correlates to a stress-related disorder such as general anxiety disorder. The caterpillar, always seeming to be smoking on hookah, speaks in riddles in a slow, prophet-like manner, as if he was Alice's superior, which is a characteristic of grand delusions. And in addition, although Alice exhibits symptoms of paranoid schizophrenia, and the Mad Hatter, I believe that's how you say his name. Do you remember? Mad Hatter?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, the Mad Hatter.
Both those are those of both bipolar disorder and PTSD. Alice in Wonderland is a story so infused with mental illness that both of these characters actually had syndromes named after them. So we have Alice in Wonderland syndrome, which is disorientating, which is a disorientating condition affecting perception of size, and Mad Hatter's disease, which is synonymous of chronic mercury poisoning. So these TV shows and these movies that we watch as kids and that we show to our kids has all this different mental illness in it, and it's feeding their souls that, and we don't even know it. We don't even realize it.
Because your subconscious mind is where everything goes. It records like a video recorder.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking in and hearing things that you don't even realize. So when we have our children that's acting in their emotions and is negative and bad emotions, and because I have said it, I would be like, I didn't teach them that. No, I didn't, but guess what?
The TV did.
The TV did. Because a lot of people sit their children down in front of these cartoons and these different shows. and don't realize it. If you don't have discernment or if you don't have a learned eye, you're subjecting your children to all this emotional illness, and then they grow. And I remember, and I knew this lady named Brenda, and she told me, she said, it's like her son went in his room one day and came out and she didn't know who he was. And I was like, girl, what are you talking about? And then it happened to me with a couple of our children that they went in their room and came out one day, like meaning that they got older. And they started doing stuff, and I'm like, we didn't live like this. They didn't see us doing this. We didn't do that. Why is it that they're like that?
It's most definitely they watch something, it's set in their subconscious mind and waited to manifest itself and bring itself back up.
So how do you think you have a 7-year-old that's trying to murder his mother? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They seen it somewhere.
Yeah. And that's like these little girls who want to be princesses. They always flock to the movie Beauty and the Beast, and we know that she definitely had what was this syndrome called?
Stockholm.
Yeah, she definitely had Stockholm syndrome. So when little girls is watching,
Keep on, we have a question after that.
when these little girls is watching these TV shows and they want to be princesses and they want to be like Beauty or
Belle.
Yeah, Belle. When they want to be like her, they're gonna try and act like her. In our reality, she has a psychological disorder.
The question is, Shalom, is it possible pretend play can bring this on in children? Absolutely. Pretend. Go ahead.
With pretend play, so if you have, let's say your daughter, she has a play set of a kitchen, and it's like she's cooking food, like that's necessarily, it's not going to bring on any type of schizophrenia or something like that, because when children are young, that's how they learn. Like with Micah, he'll get the broom like he's sweeping the floor. So it comes to a point where if they started like talking to someone that's not there,
or they're using a blanket
as
like
a baby.
It's a baby, and they're talking to it. She said, like playing dress up. Bro. That's not good.
No, there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing dress up. Like for Micah, I was gonna get him this tool set, and it has the rest to go with it. So that's just developing, things that are already there with him. He likes to build stuff with his hands. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's when there's imaginary friends, they're talking to, people that's not there. When that comes about, then that's wrong. You have to stop that immediately.
You said, okay, so things like play cleaning help develop mind.
Yes.
Cognitive and motor skills. Yeah, no.
Okay. So now we're going to discuss the different types of personality disorders. Now, there are ones total, and currently psychiatrists, they have put them into 3 categories. So the first category is suspicious, and under that is paranoid personality disorder, schizoid personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and antisocial personality disorder. And then there's the emotional and impulsive category, which is borderline, histrionic, and narcissist personality disorder. And then the third category is anxiousness, and that's avoidant personality disorder, dependent, and obsessive compulsive personality disorder. So there's 10 major ones, and then it's reduced into 3 categories. Now, each personality disorder, it has its own set of criteria in order to meet these. The first one we're going to talk about is paranoid personality disorder. Now, this lesson is going to be heavy in information, but we do have scriptures towards the end. So, paranoid personality disorder is the thoughts, feelings, and experiences associated with a paranoia. And this may cause you to fit, you may find it hard to confide in people, even if it's your family or close friends. You may find it difficult to trust other people, believing they will use you or take advantage of you.
What is that called again?
This is paranoid personality disorder.
Oh.
You may have difficulty relaxing. This can also, you can look at everyday situations and you can see them as threats and dangers when other people don't. Or in casual, if someone just glanced at
I
you,
was just finna say
you
that.
may think that they're out to get you, or they're watching you, they're with the government, something like that.
They look at you too long and you're like, what they looking at?
Also, nowadays, they might be true. You never know.
Now, people that suffer from extreme paranoia, they find that most people would find that these people are very irritating, or they become angry when these people are getting paranoid. And to react like that is to send the person into this downward spiral. You're breaking that trust that they have with you. Now that you're supposed to help them, and they think that you're out to get them. The next one is schizoid personality disorder. Many people with schizoid personality disorder are able to function fairly well, unlike with schizophrenia or schizoaffective. You will not usually have psychotic symptoms. However, as a result of the thoughts and feelings associated with this diagnosis, you may find it difficult to form relationships with other people. Some of these people, they also choose to live their life without interference from others. So they're very lonely. They live off, by themselves. People, they prefer to be alone with their thoughts, and they don't experience pleasure with any type of activity. So you know how people have hobbies or they spend time with their family. They find no pleasure in those experiences. They have little pleasure in any type of intimacy, whether it's with a spouse or whether it's with family. And they also have a difficulty with relating to emotional, they have a difficult way of relating to people. And they're emotionally cold towards other people. So this isn't someone you would go to talk about your feelings with.
What is this called again?
This one is schizoid personality disorder. So these type of people, or this spirit that is on people, they have where they're basically withdrawn from everyone, emotionally cold. These people aren't able to enjoy being around family or friends, or even coworkers at work. The next one is schizotypal personality disorder. Now, we know everyone has their own awkward behaviors, but but if your patterns of thinking and behaving make relating to others difficult, then this may be one of the diagnoses. So unlike schizophrenia, you usually would not experience psychosis, but a person may experience disordered thoughts or perceptions. They might find making close relationships extremely difficult. They may think and express themselves in ways that we will find odd. They may have unusual words or phrases, and it's making it difficult to relate to others.
There's a question that says, is this someone that says they're a loner?
For the schizoid personality disorder?
It just came
No. It's probably for the.
That doesn't.
No, it wouldn't. When people say they're a loner, that wouldn't mean that they have a schizoid personality disorder or something like that.
It could be any reason. They could just have bad experiences, or they just may not feel comfortable
Being around a lot of
being
people.
around other people. That don't mean that they have a mental disorder.
They could just be a what is that, withdrawn to themselves all the time.
Introvert.
Yeah, introvert.
I used to feel better being alone because when I have had people who did try to, cross me, and you couldn't trust people because if they had an agenda, it turned out that they did. So I had just determined that it was better for me to just, not deal with women. And it was wrong, because I found out differently, but it's just your life experience. If you have had people that always try to double cross you, you be like, I'm not dealing with folks. They're just evil. I'm not going to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that's okay. It's not okay, but people just retreat to survival mode.
Okay, with schizotypal personality disorder, these are people that believe they can read minds or that they have a sixth sense.
What?
And they feel anxious and tense if you don't share those type of beliefs with them. They also feel very anxious and paranoid in social situations, and they find it hard to relate to others. So if someone is talking to them, if the person isn't relating to them, or if they feel uncomfortable, they'll start having these thoughts of paranoia, like this person's out to get me, or this person's thinking negative about me, but they're talking like they have these thoughts, racing thoughts. A quote that somebody with schizotypal personality disorder, they said, "I always feel rather thrown when someone doesn't do what I expect them to do. Knowing there are lots of ways in which the problem could be approached would have made me feel a lot more prepared for what came next."
Wait, they said they feel what?
They feel thrown when someone doesn't do what they expect them to do.
And what is this called again?
This is schizotypal personality disorder.
Can you give an example of that? Can you give an example of that?
Yes. So if they're in and this is a lot of time when they're in a social situation, and maybe let's say they dressed a certain way, and they're thinking that that person is going to compliment them on their clothes. When that doesn't happen, they feel thrown. If the person just acknowledges something,
like
they're off.
like something feels off. It's like you go prepare for a presentation, but like your presentation is, you're supposed to go last, but the teacher said, you're gonna go first. You're thrown off. Maybe you don't have all your notes and everything together.
That's what that means, thrown.
Yeah, you're not fully prepared.
Oh,
that's
another question.
Yes.
Read it.
What about people who replace?
Can you see that?
Yeah, Shamaria says, what about people who replay certain encounters with a person they thought said something against? Is that part of personality disorder?
What about
People who replace?
Would that be overthinking something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that may be overthinking.
That's not a personality
disorder.
Did you give the definition of a personality disorder?
I believe when we first
started.
Read the definition of a personality disorder.
Okay, let me find it. Okay, a personality disorder is a type of mental disorder in which you have rigid and unhealthy pattern of thinking, functioning, and behaving. So sometimes we may sit here and we may replay a situation that happened like in high school, and it's like, oh man, why would I do that? Or that doesn't mean you have a personality disorder. You may just think back to something that has happened. Now, it becomes a mental disorder, like I said, when it's an unhealthy pattern. Like it's something you're always doing and it's affecting the way you function in life. You can't work, you can't take care of your children. Now, our next one is
What number?
we're going through all 10 personality disorders. We started off with the ones that were suspicious. So we went through paranoid, schizoid, schizotypal, and the last one in the suspicious category is antisocial personality disorder. With this one here, it is natural that some people, you put your own needs or pleasure or personal gain above others. However, if these actions occur very frequently and you struggle to keep stability in your life, and you regularly act out of anger, and this is impulsively, or you have
Antisocial what?
antisocial personality disorder. And these are people that they act impulsively out of anger. People with this disorder, they put themselves in dangerous or risky situations, often without thinking about the consequences for yourself or other people. They behave dangerously and sometimes illegally. So these people may have a criminal record.
Mm-hmm.
They feel that it's very easy to become bored, and then they act out of impulse. For example, they may find it difficult to hold down a job for a long time. They get antsy. They behave aggressively and get into fights easily. Again, going back to that anger. Doing things, even though they may do things that may hurt other people. And that's to get what they want, or they're just putting their needs and desires above other people's.
Selfishness.
Yep. They have problems with empathy. For example, they may not feel or show any sense of guilt if they mistreat others. And with this disorder, it can be diagnosed before the age of 15. A quote from someone that had antisocial personality disorder. As a child, anger seemed to be my only way to express how I felt. And again, these people, they act out of anger. Now, it was this man, and his mother died when he was young, and then his father committed suicide. He had schizophrenia. So he went to this foster care, and he started having all these different behavior problems. He went to the top best psychiatrist in his state, and the guy just laughed at him and said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with you." It wasn't until he was married with a wife and he got help in his adult life, that is when he found out that he had antisocial personality disorder. The next one, borderline personality disorder. And this is the one a lot of people know about. It is also known as emotionally unstable personality disorder. So it goes by two names. A person with this, they feel very worried about people abandoning them, and they would do anything to stop that from happening, or they would push away. Another one, they have very intense emotions that can change quickly. For example, they can go from feeling happy and confident in the morning, and then by 12 o'clock, they're feeling low and sad.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a strong sense of who they are or what they want in life. They're always changing, and you see this in college. You go from wanting to be a lawyer to a doctor to working in construction. It's all over the place. They find it hard to make friendships or friends. They act out of impulse and do things that will harm themselves, such as binge eating, using drugs, or driving dangerously, speeding all over the place. These people also have suicidal thoughts, self-harm. They feel empty and lonely. They get very angry and they struggle to control their anger. They also struggle to trust other people. Now, people that are plagued with borderline personality disorder, there's a whole nother list that goes with it. So it's anxiety, depression, eating problems, even PTSD. And when these people are stressed, they feel paranoid or they have psychotic experiences. So they're hearing things or seeing things that other people don't. They also feel numbed or checked out. They don't remember things very well after they've happened. With borderline personality disorder, it's the most common diagnosed thing among women. Now, a quote from someone that was plagued with this, they say borderline personality disorder is like having no emotional buffer. I can go from nothing to suddenly extremely overwhelming emotions, and I struggle with expressing them healthy. So with borderline personality disorder, this is one of the worst ones just because you have that anxiety, depression, suicide. You have a lot more demons that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, avoidant personality disorder. Now, we all have things, places, or people that you don't like or that you don't like being around, or things that make you anxious. But if these things cause you so much anxiety that you can't maintain relationships, that's where you get the avoidant personality disorder. And this is also called anxious personality disorder. With this one, you avoid work or social activities. That means you must be with others. So a lot of these people, they may work, let's say they're doing something like data entry where they're off by themselves, where they don't have to take calls. They may have that type of work.
Something working from home.
Or working from home. They expect disapproval and criticism and be very sensitive to it. So these are people that they're expecting to be criticized or, for something they do to be disapproved of, and they're very sensitive about it. They start crying. They're constantly worrying about being found out and rejected. So if someone finds out, who you really are, you may think that they may not like you. So that again makes you retreat to avoid them, or you fear that they're going to reject you.
I remember when I had an English class in college, and we had to do timed presentations. And this girl got up there to do her presentation, and she stood up there for like 5 minutes before she started, and then she just bust out crying and ran and sat down.
Oh my goodness, that happened to me in my communication class.
Yeah.
This girl was doing a presentation. She got up there, she started breathing real heavy,
Mm-hmm.
and she was looking around, and then she just started bawling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is wrong with her?
If they are like that, again, women, it's the females that it plagues a lot.
The emotions.
And if they're like that throughout the day, that could be diagnosed as avoidant personality disorder.
But she was
avoidant.
She was perfectly fine until it was her time to go up there.
Yeah.
And it's like she just lost it.
Or fear of public speaking could be that as well.
Yeah.
No, she was like that, period.
Oh, well.
Yeah, she probably got anxiety.
Yeah.
So these people are worried about being ridiculed or shamed by others. They avoid relationships, friendships, and intimacy because they fear rejection. They feel lonely and isolated and inferior to others. And again, they're reluctant to try new activities in case they embarrass themselves. So you see with the disorders we've talked about so far, it's always what people are thinking about you, or how you perceive yourself. It's always linked to some type of emotions. And that's one thing that the devil tries to get women with, is emotions, whether it's about themselves or about their children or people that's around them, even to work. Some women can't even go to the grocery store because maybe they think the cashier is judging them or the people are judging them about what they're putting in their cart. It becomes crippling to them. The next one, dependent personality disorder. Now, it's natural to need other people to care for us and give us reassurance. A healthy balance involves being able to both depend on others as well as being independent. However, if feelings and thoughts about needing others become so overwhelming that they impact your daily life and relationships, you may get the diagnosis of dependent personality disorder. Now, these people are opposite of the avoidant personality disorder. They feel needy or weak. They're unable to make decisions or function day to day without help or support from someone. Now, with this personality disorder, it's not someone that's sick and need help. This is someone that's perfectly healthy. They're able to take care of themselves. They just can't because of this disorder, because it's something in their mind is telling them that they can't. These people, they allow or require others to assume responsibility for many areas of their life. You see a lot of people, if you look on YouTube, where the adults in their 30s or 40s are still being taken care of by their parents, and they need it. It's not, they're not sick or anything, and the parents are playing into this instead of trying to help them, get a job, get out and be on their own. Kind of like that. With these people, they agree to things that feel wrong, or they avoid being alone just to lose. Let me reword that. They agree to things that are wrong because of somebody, or they feel that they're going to be alone, that they're going to lose that support. They're also they're afraid to live on their own. So with these people, it's very rare that you'll find someone, on their own. Low self-confidence. And they see other people as being more capable than they are. So they look at someone and they're judging themselves. They're comparing themselves to other people. The next one under the list, obsessive compulsive personality disorder. Now this one is separate from OCD. This describes a form of behavior, the personality. The people that suffer from obsessive compulsive personality disorder, they have problems with perfection. They have to be in control. And these people, they are not flexible when change happens. Someone with this disorder, they need to keep everything in order and under control. They set unrealistic high standards for themselves. So they can, let's say they start working at a company and they say by the end of the year I want to be CEO. That's not going to happen. They think that their way, they think that their way is the best way in doing things, even if it's wrong. They worry about making mistakes in front of others. They also feel very anxious if things aren't perfect. So if, let's say you have a collage on a wall, and if everything's not perfect and it looks beautiful, they feel like they've messed up. Now it's different from OCD. With OCD, they may need every picture 10 inches from each other. So it's different. Now, personality disorders as a whole, not everyone has, well, let me rephrase that. When it comes to personality disorders and being diagnosed, some people may have 2 or 3 symptoms from each category. So this is where PDNOS, which is personality disorder not otherwise specified. So people that fall underneath this list, they may have schizotypal and obsessive personality disorder. So they they may experience 2 or 3 different types. As for causes, there are 3 factors that comes when it comes to talking about the causes. It's 3 factors: the environment and social circumstances, early life experiences, and then the genetic factors. With the environment and social circumstances, you grow up in the quality of care and receiving the quality of care that you grow up in that affects your personality. So if you're abused, angry, you start abusing. You may you may abuse, your children, or you may have abusive relationships. And unstable, such as living with a parent who is an alcoholic or who struggles to manage a mental health problem with little or no support. This can cause you to develop one of these personality disorders. Like we talked about the man whose father was schizophrenic and he died. He ended up having the antisocial personality disorder. There's also a lack of support or bad experiences during your school life. So a lot of children are bullied, and that can cause personality disorders.
Mm-hmm.
And not just bullying with school, if you're excluded from activities, being left out. One thing by themselves because they're unsure of this new place. Early life experiences can affect you negatively, where you develop a personality disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you've had like a difficult childhood, you might develop certain beliefs on how relationships should work. So if you're in a relationship, you start having this fantasy of what a relationship is supposed to be.
A good example of that would be if anyone has seen the movie Sybil and how her relationship was with her mother and things that happened to her as a kid, how she ended up developing all those different personalities.
That's because her mother had
Abusive.
she wasn't just abusive. Her mother was had mental illness as well,
Right.
and her mother did things to her. And those
Mm-hmm. Like with the movie Precious as well.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Precious.
So neglect, losing a parent, or having any type of emotional, physical, or sexual abuse